had some time to look at the tape of Saturday's game. What kind of stood out to you, and was particularly some of the defensive struggles in the second half?
Yeah, obviously we got them in some third and fourth down situations, and in those critical situations, you got to find a way to get yourself off the field. Sometimes we just lost a one-on-one matchup out on the perimeter. Sometimes there were penalties. Sometimes there were assignment busts. And at the end of the day, we got to be collectively better to get off the field on that side of the ball. But it's everybody. We got to play together. I said it after the game. We haven't played complementary football yet together as a football team, and you got to do that, and that's how you win close games.
Coach, I know it's hard because it was a loss, but can you kind of speak of the historic game that Dylan Gabriel had, and was that maybe his best game so far at UCF?
End of the day, the only thing you concern yourself with is being +1 and being on the right side of the scoreboard. That is what our players are about. That's what we are about as a program. For Dylan, I thought he did a fantastic job of being really decisive, moving in the pocket, got us in the right play at the right time, and did a lot of things really well. Drove the field at the end of the ball game in a critical situation. I thought he was composed and did a lot of really good things.
How much of the success you guys had with the offensive line this week, how much of that would you attribute to the fact that you guys only used five offensive linemen in this game, which is rare in the program?
Yeah, I think that's just kind of the way the game unfolded a little bit. We're going to need other guys to play as we go throughout the season. I think the biggest thing for us is that we weren't playing in second and long. We eliminated for the most part all those pre-snap issues and played a relatively clean game and kept us in positive situations and allowed us to play with tempo. And those little things add up to the big things that everybody sees.
Josh, what did you saw out of Jalen Robinson? And when you first arrived for you guys, did you have the inkling that he was going to be a big play kind of guy that he is right now?
Absolutely believe that was the type of player that we were getting when we got him here on campus. Everybody's seen him get better every single week. He really didn't play on the field, didn't play on a game day for almost 2 years. He's gotten more comfortable in what we're doing and been a better decision maker and just finding holes in the zones here, the last 4 weeks. His best football is still ahead of him. He's got an opportunity to continue to grow, and he's got really good practice habits. He's been competing on the practice field, and that translates over to having good performances.
Coach, can you speak of the performance of Ryan Okeefe? He really made some big plays out there for a young guy.
He did. Young guy that really got a lot of his first action on special teams, has improved here over the last couple of years in that role, and did a really good job on the offense side of the ball too. Has gotten more and more opportunities as the season's unfolded. You can see he's got great speed, elite speed, and if he's getting the ball in his hands, he's got an opportunity to do something pretty special with it. Thought he was really good on his routes in the middle of the football field too, and when it was right, Dylan took advantage of that.
Coach, obviously guys were frustrated after the loss. We saw on the sidelines as the game was ending, there was a sort of confrontation between Quandre Jones and Daniel Okeefe. What has been done to handle that situation specifically, and then also as a macro sense, what do you have to do? What do you have to say to make sure that in-team frustration doesn't carry over, doesn't leak over to other weeks?
Yeah, I think you got to have competitive composure. That's everybody that was involved in what you were talking about there, but it's us as an entire football team too, and each individual player playing with their unit, playing with the entire group, 3 phases of the game, playing together. And understanding, Daniel, his one play that made a difference in the football game. Everybody saw that late in the game, but it's a series of one plays that make the difference in the football game. And play one is just as important as the last play of the game. There's things that each and every one of us got to do better to make that outcome be different. And I think, for us inside of the locker room, that's why you never take winning for granted. It's hard to do. And when you're on the wrong side of it, you got to find a way to be a little bit better. And just in talking to our group, it's the urgency that you prepare with, and that gives you your best opportunity to go out and play your best football on Saturday. This is a competitive game. Not everything's going to go your way, but at least you've done everything to make sure that the brother next to you is in the best position to be successful too.
Josh, you guys have been very aggressive on fourth downs over the last couple of years. When is it, in your mind, when is it a good time to go for a fourth down and maybe skip going for points and try to get bigger points? And when is it just maybe the best time to kind of punt? What's the kind of mentality?
Yeah, some of that's going to come off of the feel of the football game. If it's happening later in the game, how comfortable you are with some of those fourth down calls, what you might be seeing from the other side of the line of scrimmage, where you're at with your personnel, who's healthy, who's not, as the game unfolds. We use analytics as well in some of that decision making, and try to put our football team in the best position to go out and make a play and find a way to win.
Coach, I know you're always locked in with the team about going 1-0 every week.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at big picture, when you look at your long-term goals, it's going to be difficult to maybe get back to a conference championship. So what do you say to your guys who might be thinking that in the back of their mind as well, just to keep them, motivated and excited, for the weeks ahead?
You only can control what you can control, right? If you're focused on that and where you're at, you have no ability to move forward. There's a lot of things internally that we got to do better to be better. And I do believe we got a room full of competitors. They've tried to improve every week. They've had pretty good practice habits. We have to have better practice habits. But to me, I think, for your fan base and your parents and family and friends and all that, they get consumed with the big picture. I think as a competitor and as an athlete, you really do have to focus on what you can control, and you're only as good as your next one. Whether you win or lose the previous one, you got to forget it, have a quick memory, and move on. And you got to do that during the course of play too. You give up a play, you got to be able to respond the next play. So for all of our players, we got to push forward.
How much of that success was about the matchups you were seeing defensively, or how much of that was due to the fact that maybe some changes you guys made during the bye week to your game plan, trying to utilize that portion of the field?
Combinations of both. I thought our wide receivers did a good job in the middle of the field working it. I thought Dylan got to the right spot at the right time. Sometimes scheme presents different opportunities to attack people in a different way. You put all those things together, it changes the way every game is going to unfold.
Josh, how much does having senior leadership on this team help out in a crisis like when you guys lost back-to-back games? Maybe having them maybe keep those younger guys focused and keep them kind of attentive to the game that's coming up?
Yeah, I don't think it's just senior leadership. I think it's leadership inside of your program. I think it's your elite competitors, guys that are driven to be as good as they possibly can, individually and collectively as a unit and as a football team. Those guys rising and demanding it of the guys around them. And for us to become what we need to be this week and in future weeks, those guys got to keep driving the train.
After that Tulsa game, Matt Lee took a lot of heat on social media and whatnot. You know that, I know. How do you think he responded against Memphis?
Thought he responded the way that we would anticipate Matt to respond, and in a way a great competitor does. Yeah, there was a lot of outside noise that he had to deal with, and maybe more than him, his family had to deal with. But I thought he came back, played really well. You saw a lot of the pre-snap penalties that were issues in previous weeks were handled, and thought he played against one of the better defensive tackles in the league and held his own for most of the day.
Hey, Coach, just some thoughts on Tulane who you'll face on Saturday.
Yeah, you look at them. They do a great job of running the football, really efficient. I think they lead the league in rushing average per game. On the flip side of it, they do a good job with their front seven of trying to eliminate the run game as well, make it difficult to run. So for us, we got to stop the run. We got to be efficient in the run game. We got to stay in manageable situations on offense. We got to be able to play with some of our tempo. Defensively, we got to do a great job of eliminating the run game. And then their quarterback's done a really good job of scrambling in some of the pass downs. And we got to do a better job of our rush integrity and make sure we keep him bottled up.